te ensinar um pouco mais sobre empreendedorismo e como ele pode mudar qualquer área, inclusive as áreas mais improváveis. Ele é um dos mais aguardados palestrantes dessa 7ª edição brasileira de Campus Party. Mesmo sendo conhecido como vocalista de uma das bandas de rock mais famosas do mundo, o Iron Maiden, ele veio nos mostrar seu lado empreendedor e criativo. Pediram para avisar, ele não vai cantar, tá, gente? É palestra sobre empreendedorismo. Piloto e investidor anjo, essa lenda do rock destaca-se como empreendedor na escola de formação de pilotos Real World Aviation e na empresa de manutenção de aeronaves Cardiff Aviation. Além disso, ele é historiador, mestre cervejeiro e exerce, entre essas, muitas outras atividades que ele mesmo vai nos contar. Com vocês, Bruce Dickinson.
Good. I passed the first test. Something you ate, maybe earlier on, perhaps? The beans, maybe, I don't know. So welcome, hello. I've flown a long way to see you guys, girls, everybody in between, if there are any. That's the picture of the back of my head when I'm on stage with Iron Maiden. I do a few other things as well, which we're going to be talking about later on, to do with business, to do with entrepreneurship, to do with thinking outside the box and creativity. Because one of the things I do is I come up with a lot of ideas, and I work with a lot of people that come up with a lot of ideas. So if I look out at that audience there, a bit like looking out at you guys, that's sort of the back of my head there, you know. If I look out at that audience there, and I say that obviously those people are all Iron Maiden fans, right? Yeah. But would it be weird if I also said that actually they're customers too, a little bit? Because you know what? But you know when they become customers? Is they become customers if we screw around with them. Because when you're a fan, like if you're a fan of a football club and they don't do too good, you don't just walk away because you're a fan. Okay, they lost a few matches. But if some guy comes along to your football team and says that all the players now have to wear a pink ballerina dress, the new manager, now you have a bit of a problem. Now you're a customer. And a customer always has a choice. And the choice is, if your football team starts wearing a pink ballerina outfit, maybe you're going to walk away and support the team next door. So if we were selling Iron Maiden t-shirts that fell apart as soon as you wore them, or that just disappeared as soon as you washed them, our fans would very quickly become customers. I hate customers. Because customers have a choice. They can go somewhere else. And you don't want your customers to go somewhere else. You want your customers to be fans. And I talk to a lot of big business corporations, things that I know nothing about. Big Electrolux and Sharp and people like that. And the one thing that I talk about that has them really excited is saying to everybody, okay, so you have customers, and they'll go, yeah. And you have to look after your customers. Oh, yeah. And then you say, but are you turning your customers into fans? Huh? And if not, why not? Because the world of business is like the life in the ocean, in the sea. Fish have gills, so they can sit still in the water and they can breathe, flapping their gills, eating the plankton, getting big and fat. Sharks, on the other hand, don't have gills. They have to move, otherwise they drown. That's just nature. But because they have to move a lot, they get big and muscly. And because they get big and muscly, they have to eat a lot to live. And what do you think they eat? There's the fish sitting there, fat, dumb and happy. Wham! Big shark comes along and eats it. That's the world of business. Whether you like it or whether you don't, if you sit still and say, hey, I'm kind of comfortable here, you're going to get eaten. Somebody's going to eat you up. Could be you want to get eaten. Somebody just sold an app to some Google for $1 billion, I read it the other day. Okay? So maybe you get lucky. And that, and you make a load of money with your sitting still waiting to be eaten. But most people, when they get eaten in business, it's not nice. They take the best bits out of the business and the rest they throw away. And that's the horrible world of it. But if you have fans, if you have customers who are so loyal to you that will stick with you no matter what, then you have something of real value. And the whole thing about developing business is developing value. Something real. An office block is not value. Furniture is not value. A nice looking secretary is not value. This is just bullshit. It's just cost. It's not value. It's not something that you can put your hand on and say, I created that and that is unique and nobody else can do that. And if you're thinking of getting into business, apart from the fact that you're going to have to work hard, you're going to have to figure out where is the value in what you do or what your business does that is unique and special. In Iron Maiden, we're really lucky because there it is. It's us. Nobody else can be us. So we're kind of lucky that way. But in other businesses, it's more complicated. Why should, if you buy a garage that fixes cars, why is your garage different to the other guy, or the other guy, or the other guy? That's why garages go out of business, because they're all the same. That's why when mom and pop shops start up in neighborhoods, they go out of business, and then there's another one, and then there's another one. So how is it different? So that's what you've got to figure out. And whatever it is that you think you are selling, computers, apps, towels, cars, airline tickets, whatever it is, service, goods, hard goods, software, doesn't matter. Whatever it is you think you are selling, you're not selling that. You're selling only one thing. You're selling a relationship with the person that buys it. So that goes for software, it goes for hardware. Let's look at, for example, you buy a car. You drive down the road, and I know you probably don't buy cars. Probably you won't need cars by the time you get to the age when you want to buy a car now, but let's say you drive down the road and the door falls off. It's a new car. So you go, I'm pretty pissed off. So you drive back to the dealer, you say, hey, I bought the car, the door fell off. And he goes, oh, I'm terribly sorry. It's under warranty, it's guaranteed. Here, have another one. Have a new car, another new car. Does that make you feel better? Not really. It's a new car. The door fell off. What's going to fall off next? The engine? The transmission? My wife and kids are going to go in that car. I don't trust that car. It's not about the warranty. It's about the relationship. It's about trust. That's why people try to throw their computers out of the window. Because they get frustrated. It's an emotional reaction. It's not rational. But we are not rational. We are human beings. We are emotional creatures. It's what makes us work. So that's why I say selling a feeling. Look at Apple, right? Apple, great example of a company, especially when they first started out, that had fans. Actually, more than fans, it was a religion. You didn't buy an Apple computer in the days of the early Mac Plus and things like that. You joined a cult. I was an early adopter. I bought the Apple Mac, the very first Mac Portable. Now, let me show you what a Mac Portable looked like. Here is a Mac Portable. So, here's me walking with a Mac Portable in a suitcase provided by Apple, very nice suitcase, and I would walk around staggering like this, and people would stop me and go, oh, is that a Mac Portable? I'd say, yes it is, would you like to carry it? It had a 6-volt lead acid battery in it. If you ever got stuck, you could jump start your car off the damn thing. The only thing it wouldn't do was last longer than 2 hours of computing on a black and white screen with no software. But I was a fan. I was a I'll put my Mac Portable back here. I was a fully paid up member of the religion of Apple. And that was about a relationship. I had a relationship with Apple. Did I have a relationship with Bill Gates and the evil empire? No, because they were the evil empire. And all my friends who ran DOS, I went, I don't understand DOS. Oh, Windows. I went, Windows, huh? And then they went, it has a lot of software. Oh yeah, software. What do I need that for? I've got my Mac Portable, you know. And so then finally I went, you know, Windows, it's not so bad. And I switched. So I ended up going the other way. And everything's converging anyway. The point I'm making is that Bill Gates is not the evil empire. Actually, he's giving all his money away. Apple, on the other hand, their shareholders would love it if Apple gave any money away. But they're not. And with Steve Jobs, you had a visionary. He invented something, well, he invented the iPhone, he invented the tablet. He came up with some brilliant concepts. Some brilliant concepts, some amazing design. But now, sadly, he's not with us anymore. And you have to look at the way that Apple is working its relationship with its fans. And I question whether it's the same as it was in the old days. Because now everybody everybody I know, well, most people I know who have bought iPhones are also thinking about buying a Samsung. Because they're going, hey, you know what, the new iPhone is a pain in the ass. The iPhone 4 is the best iPhone ever. So why change it? Why make us do all this software updates that doesn't work and then it destroys all your data and everything else, and then I have to go back and pray to some strange god of Apple to get it all back? It's so much easier. Well, maybe I just buy a Samsung. I mean, there's a few fiddly bits, but whatever. The point is they have a choice. In the old days, nobody would have dreamed of doing that with Apple. So it's about a relationship. And as soon as you sleep with the other side, you realize that actually, you have a choice. You don't have to do just that kind of thing. Now, Apple makes some great stuff, don't get me wrong. But they've, I think, made a few. They are very conscious that they have a problem. They have a problem. And it's because that relationship between the customer and the fan has started to get blurred. I mean, if you really want to know where's it gone? There you go. That is the telephone that invented Finland. Before that phone, nobody knew Finland existed. There's my phone. Now, those of you who have smartphones, just check your battery life starting now. Because in 5 days' time, I'm going to charge this sucker. But I do old-fashioned stuff on this. I talk to people. And the one thing that smartphones are not smart at doing is talking to people. So, this telephone, to use an old-fashioned word, would you believe that the CEO of the O2 network in the UK has been trying to get the rights to remanufacture this phone for the last 5 years, and Nokia wouldn't do it. Why? I don't know. Because when you pull out one of those phones, what everybody says almost universally is, oh, the best phone ever. If it's the best phone ever, why isn't somebody making it? So suddenly, I think there is a niche. I don't make mobile phones, but somebody that does, I think there is a niche. Produce a telephone with a battery that lasts for 10 days that you can make telephone calls on and text and nothing else. No viruses, no hacking, no GPS. Really cheap, really safe, really simple. And that's what I mean about thinking outside the box in terms of your relationship with your fans. Give people the sort of thing that they want. Look at, for example, let's look at Apple Maps, right? Who thought it was a good idea that Berlin was in the North Pole? But what does that say when a product like that comes out? You know, what does it say when, I'm sure Windows had their share of disasters when they did product launches and launched software that just crashed or was incredibly unstable. The world is now moving so fast, thank goodness, that people have choices. So rapidly, if you're going to throw everything into one particular technological basket, whether it's Apple or Windows or whoever, or Google, or whichever empire you're going to go with, that empire had better make sure that they really have a relationship with you and don't abuse the trust. Because otherwise, empires come and empires in business very, very quickly. I can think of airlines that once seemed indestructible Pan Am, TWA, multinational airlines, gone in a heartbeat. The music industry, most of the record labels, gone in a heartbeat. Why? Well, they would all say, it's your fault. You, the fans, the customers, the people that love music, you destroyed the music industry. And actually, they're kind of talking out of their ass. And you know why? Yeah. I'll tell you what, when we make another Iron Maiden record, how much money do you think we're going to make out of making that record and selling it, downloading it and everything else? Probably around about that much. Maybe that much. But that's not the point. That's not why we do music. That's not why we do new music. If we didn't make new records, we're just a karaoke band. Pretty good karaoke band. But we must make new music. Because without new music, we don't produce more fans. We're just empty. So we have to make new music. Now, unfortunately, digital downloading means that really we don't make very much money making records anymore. Is that a problem? Well, not for us, no, because we're increasing in South America by 20% every time we tour. So we wouldn't do that if we weren't still making new music. We must make new music. We love to do it. It's why we started. And without it, we're just an empty product. We're just an empty shell. But let's go back to the record labels. The record labels, you know, we were signed to record labels, Iron Maiden and loads of other big name bands. What did all those bands have? They all had fans, right? Lots of fans. But what did the record labels have? They had customers. Nobody, when digital downloading came out, nobody went, oh right, that's it, oh I'm so sad, CBS Records has gone out of business. Oh, that's so sad. But if all their bands who were signed to CBS Records said, no, that's it, we're not making any more music, then people would be upset. Because the people were fans of the bands, but they were customers of the record companies. If the record companies had had the vision to understand what digital could do for them and how digital could help them have a relationship with their customers, then fans might have said, hey, you know what, CBS Records website is the coolest thing in the world. Did you know you could download all this stuff for free and you could do this and it's... But they didn't do that. They said, our customers are trying to kill us. They're all criminals. Send them all to jail. Pretty dumb thing to do. Very dumb thing to do. One or two bands did it as well. Our fans are the enemy. They're stealing our music because they love us. And we hate them. What is going on? So it's about a relationship. And, you know, things don't just stay the same. They just don't. You know, I was watching a program, a TV program the other day, and it was about the oldest butcher's shop in the world. And it's a little shop in England, and it was first established in business in the year 1550. And it's been going in the same family ever since, for 600 years nearly. The same shop. But what was interesting was looking at the history of butcher's shops, because 15, 20 years ago, let's say there were 10,000, for the sake of argument, 10,000 shops, butcher's shops, in every town around the UK, England. But as of now, there's only 2,000. 80% have gone out of business. But we're still eating meat. Where are we getting it from? We're getting it from the supermarket, and the butcher has moved into the big supermarket and people are driving. There's still a niche for specialist shops, but that's just the way the world has moved. And it does move. But what is common to all of this is people. People don't change. We like to think we do. We get a new smartphone. Oh, there's my smartphone. Evolution. And of course it's nonsense. We don't evolve. We don't change. We change very, very slowly. If you went back to Roman times, apart from the fact that we're not speaking exactly the same language, but a very similar language, you would discover that human beings look the same, sounded the same, ate the same kind of stuff. We haven't changed. We've got some clever smartphones. They had some clever chariots. So we don't change that much. It's what's common to everything. And if you look at the great sweep of history and technology, the great thing about it is it doesn't last very long. Something new always comes along. But what is common is humanity. And the one thing about humanity is that we're not very good at anything. Actually, the one thing we are good at... Let me see. Hello. Hi. Yeah, you there. Yeah. Yay, there you go. Is eye contact. We're designed. We are visual creatures. We're designed for eye contact. Now, when I'm on stage, we have some big place this size or bigger. I'm lucky because everybody is looking at the stage. So if I look back, I can make eye contact with somebody 200 meters away, and he or she's going, yeah. You know, like that. And you go, like that, you know. And then everybody around them goes. They all go like that as well. So, but the point is, it makes people happy. It's what we do. We are designed to make eye contact with each other, to walk up, to have a look, check each other out, to talk, to be social. We're not very good at hunting. Human being versus tiger. Tiger wins. Human being versus fish. Fish wins. And as for shark, well, that's easy. So we're no good at these big things. You know, our eyesight is good for human beings, but it's terrible for hunting. You know, a bird, a hawk, bird of prey, unbelievable eyesight. You know, cats, dogs, sense of smell, hearing, way better than ours. Speed and strength, with not even existing in nature for human beings. But what happens when we get together? Now that's when it gets interesting. Because when we get together and we work together as teams and we have communities, now we really start cooking. Now we start putting people on the moon. that starts to look clever. But in all this, we are still emotional creatures. We're still emotional creatures, and everything we do has to have that relationship. So let me ask you now, given that as human beings we're not good at a lot except getting together, given that whatever creative... My trousers are vibrating, hang on. Switch the phone off. Given that we're not much good at anything except being with each other and creating ideas and things like that, the next stage is, how do we do that? How do we create ideas? And that, I guess, is where I'm coming on to the next bit, which is to say that you guys all here, you're here for another week, right? Yeah? Why are you here? To see me is not the right answer. See, because you're here for a whole week. Why exactly are you here? Do you know? The first step to figuring out why you're here is to say, I've got no idea. They made me do it. I'm going to get a job. I'm going to get laid. I'm going to get drunk. I don't drink. I'm very religious. I don't know what it is. I like camping on concrete. But might I suggest a reason why you could be here? And might I suggest that you go through the rest of the week with, in the back of your mind, this idea that occurred to me a long, long time ago. Popular. That 99% of everything you do here this week will be fun and it will be rubbish. It will be forgettable. Anybody could do it. If it wasn't you, it would be somebody else. Once you get that into your head, relax. And don't try so hard to try and learn every single thing from every single seminar, because all you will do is fill your head full of crap. And you won't be able to think clearly. But somewhere in this week is a great idea, or maybe more than one, or maybe several. And somewhere, what I call the creative mosquito is going to bite somebody on the ass, and they're going to go away from this and go, that's a really good idea. I should find somebody who agrees with me and we can work together and develop it. So, let me give you a couple of examples about creativity. First of all, we could talk about songwriting, because that's a creative process. Any musicians? Do you have musicians here? Yeah, a few musicians, great. To a lot of people, songwriting is a mystery. Like people who don't play instruments. I mean, it's still a mystery to me. I don't know how it happens, but it does. I've got a few ideas that I think might help explain it. But it's very similar to developing an idea for business. Very similar. You've got to start out with one thing. Let's look at a few other creative people. Let's look at Einstein, who was written off as being a bit of a dummy, not much good at anything. And you would expect him to say, yes, science, qualifications, go to school, study hard. No, he just said, imagination is greater than knowledge. And he's right, because you can find anybody with knowledge. The universities are full of people coming out with bits of paper. They have knowledge. But without imagination, it is nothing. Imagination and passion is everything. Because with imagination, you can look at the moon and go, one day, we're going to go to the moon. I can imagine it. Oh, don't be so stupid. People can't even fly. But with imagination, you can create the systems for doing things like that. So what is creativity? Well, let's have a look at another creative guy, Isaac Newton, physicist. The man that invented gravity. Well, not really. What he did do was he asked the right question. And he observed. So when the story, if it's true, I don't know, but it's a good story, when the apple fell from the tree, and he went, I wonder what caused that. I know, I'll call it gravity. He didn't invent gravity, it's always been here on this little ball of rock. But what he did do was observe it. And just about everything you need to create something utterly brilliant is in the world around you right now. Nature has provided everything we need to travel to the moon, to travel to Mars, to get in between the little stringy bits of the universe if we get that far. It's all there. We just need to observe it. DNA, who invented that? Nobody. But we didn't know it existed until we observed it. And observation is the key to creativity, and then using your imagination to play with it. And observation is just the ability to be curious. It's no more than that. People don't know why I watch such weird TV programs about things I know nothing about. And that's why I watch them. Because I go, I don't know anything about this. Wow, I never knew that. Did you know who invented flat pack furniture? You know, like IKEA and these things where you buy the sofa and it's just all like here, and nobody can understand how to put it together, so you give it to the 5-year-old and he does it. Right? Who invented that and why? I didn't know. It was the Vikings. The Vikings invented flat pack furniture. Actually, they went further than that. They invented flat pack houses. Because why? Because a lot of the places they went to didn't have any trees. Iceland has no trees. The Faroe Islands, no trees. You want to live there, you need wood. But the ships they had were quite small, so they couldn't waste space taking just big pieces of wood. So they built the whole house on the mainland, and they packed it flat so it would transport easily in the Viking ships. And then 500 years later, whoever the guy was that invented IKEA went, hey, this is a good idea, why don't we do it with furniture? And made a fortune. Nothing new there. Just a clever idea, observation, bit of ingenuity, nothing new. I'm involved with a new project diesel engine for aviation and for marine engines. When I was talking to the engineers, I said, wow, this is a really cool engine. I don't know if anybody's into engines, but it only has one cylinder, 2 pistons, and no cylinder heads. So it's very light, very compact, FADEC, fuel injected, very clever engine, very lightweight, very fuel efficient. And I said, wow, that's really clever idea. He said, oh yeah. He said, the guy that invented it in the year 1890. But only does the technology exist to make it work properly? Leonardo da Vinci invented the helicopter, but he couldn't fly one, not then. But you know what? Somebody saw the drawing and got the inspiration to do it. Imagination is greater than knowledge. It's about observation. So if you're in business now, how do you do that? If you're trying to get a business idea together that doesn't involve making a helicopter or inventing gravity, how do you find a creative niche to do that? Well, let me give you an example with Iron Maiden, for example. Here we go. What have we got next? Well, I'll point this somewhere. Where will I point it at? Ah, there we go. Jimi Hendrix. I was reading a book about Jimi 30-something years ago, and it mentioned that when his career started out in the States, his manager had a very innovative way of getting from one place to the other. He didn't go by the aeroplanes that were available back then, which is a little bit faster than walking. But what he did do was, because the jet airliner had arrived, Jimi basically went in the new system of jet airlines in America, which the invention of the hub and the spoke of routes going out from a central location. So Jimmy's manager just went and bought a book of 50 tickets and said, Jimi will play wherever the aeroplane flies. So back in the day, you could take guitars and drums and chainsaws and God knows what on aeroplanes. There wasn't no strange restrictions about taking your spears with you. So Jimi went out, but what that enabled him to do, you see, the rest of the world was travelling around in these, or they were going by bus, or they were going by train. So the rest of the rock and roll population was travelling around very slowly. But Jimi was everywhere. He could be in New York one day, 2 days later San Francisco. Impossible any other way. So I read that, and being a pilot, I thought, that would be kind of fun to do. And I did it for a little while on one of my solo tours in a very, very small aeroplane. And it was kind of fun. But when I rejoined Iron Maiden, I realised that we had a problem. Because so many places wanted to see us in the world, but the accountants, oh, I love accountants, the land of no. No, that'll never work. No, you can't do that. That won't make any money. Right? Accountants. Well, the accountants said we couldn't afford to tour Australia because it would take 3 weeks to get the equipment to get there, and we had to pay the road crew for 3 weeks to sit on their ass, and there goes all the money. We'd lose money. And then they came up with the same excuse, you can't tour Korea because it takes ages to get from Australia to Korea. You can't tour India. Oh my God, you'll never get to India. And from India to Australia, oh, impossible. So because I was working as an airline pilot, don't ask how, but I was working as a full-time airline captain, I realized that the period of time that we would want to tour in the southern hemisphere was February, March. This is the time when every airline in the northern hemisphere has 30% of its airplanes sitting on the ground with nothing to do. Airplanes are very cheap to rent. So I said, well, what about if we take one of our airplanes and we fly it around the world for 8 weeks and we just join up all these places the accountant says it's too tough to tour. And the first thing thing that somebody said was, that'll never work. But spoke to my manager about it, and he went, you know what, that's a great idea. Wow, that could be really cool. We could have some, you know, unexpected results from that. And indeed we did. So that's what we ended up with. So I'm the guy in the middle, and spot the one guy that hasn't been up all night drinking. To the dark glasses, bless him. So that was in Belo Horizonte. That picture was taken. Yay! So the whole thing worked very well, but then we had a few unintended consequences. It worked so well that we did it 3 times. It worked brilliantly for the airline because they had an airplane sitting on its ass for 8 weeks, and now they had an airplane that was working. It got loads of publicity and PR for the airline, but my God, how much did it get for Iron Maiden? And everywhere that airplane went, people thought that we were playing. So when we finished the tour, I said to the airline, hey, do you want to keep the airplane painted up like that? Because it went back to normal passenger service with 220 people on it. And it was flying to America daily. So we stopped touring, but as far as the rest of the world was concerned, everywhere that plane landed, oh my God, Iron Maiden must be in town. It was incredible. You know, and the internet was alive with rumours. Oh my God, are they playing in New York tonight? I can't get a ticket. That's because we're not playing. But it was absolutely fantastic, and it was great fun as well. Terrific. You know, you always get one disruptive passenger. So it worked for us, and it worked very, very well. It's an idea of a creative chance that comes because you can do something, somebody needs something, and you can see a way of getting in the middle of something. That's an entrepreneurial type role. It's not an inventor type role. An entrepreneur is somebody that sees an opportunity. What was this George Bush said? He said, yeah, entrepreneur, it's a good job the French don't have a word for it. Anyway, not sure if that translates. There he is. That's what bit me on the ass. The creative mosquito. If you want to know what it sounds like, switch the lights out, and you'll just hear. Switch the lights on. Where is the damn thing? And that is what ideas are like. So I always recommend having something, having a bit of paper, a pen, it's kind of old-fashioned, I know, or your iPod or iPad or something else like that, right? Something to take those ideas down, because if you get a brilliant idea, and then you wake up the next morning and you go, oh, what was it? Oh, no. Oh, you know? Especially if you're in the pub and you have a brilliant idea. Always write it down. So, that brings me to Trooper. So, let's talk about another thinking out of the box kind of thinking. Remember I said the music industry, you know, we can't make any money out of records anymore. Sad, but more or less true. So we make a living. We have a big touring program. We have 80 or 100 people depend on Iron Maiden for their livings every year, and we have to support all that and everything else. And, you know, so we tour. And the great thing about that is that, yeah, we sell t-shirts. t-shirts. So I used to say, well, hey, the music is for free, but the t-shirt will cost you 50 bucks. So, back in the day, we used to say, oh no, we lose money. We lose money touring. Touring, we say the record company has to pay us money to go on tour. And we tour to subsidize the album. And we make all our money on the album. Okay, so big deal. You don't make any money on the albums, but you know what? Music is so popular and so successful now that everybody wants to see it live, which is great. Which goes back to my point about what do human beings want to do? Do you want to sit in your bedroom all day long and listen to a crappy download? And believe me, downloads, you must know this, you're techie people, downloads are crappy. The quality is terrible, you know? Eventually there will be enough bandwidth in the world to download a 300-bit download, which is something around about the processing speed of the human ear. Until then, we're stuck with CD quality, which is also bullshit. Anyway, that's my little... Yeah, I'm a soapbox, I go on about audio quality. But vinyl records, a really, really well set up vinyl system is absolutely the best way to get a proper audio listening experience. But, you know, it's about the size of these speakers, and you have a turntable and records, and it's not practical. We know that. The digital has to step up to the plate and get with the program, really. And actually, I'd pay for that, you know, to actually have a really good quality. Anyway, let's go back to the idea of touring. So, of course, we sell t-shirts, and that's great, and we tour, and that's great, and because we're social creatures, nobody's watching Iron Maiden on YouTube. Well, they are. But nobody's saying, I'd rather watch Iron Maiden on YouTube. No. I'll watch Rock in Rio on YouTube. I don't want to go there. People want the real thing. And they want to be with other people. We're social creatures. Yeah, YouTube's great. Fine. Post whatever you like. But people watching are going to go, wow, I wish I was there. Because that's what we're like. That's the reality of it, which is great. So, we were approached by a guy who said, let's make an Iron Maiden red wine. I went, why? He said, oh, loads of guys are doing it. I said, yeah, but Iron Maiden red wine. I mean, I drink wine, it's nice, but it doesn't really... If we're going to do something, we should do an Iron Maiden traditional British real ale. And he went, oh, okay, well, we'll just go and take somebody else's beer and put a label on it. I went, no, we'll design our own with a brewery, because that's what we do. Because it's cheap rip-off to just put your label on somebody else's. So we designed Trooper. And we're now over 4 million pints of Trooper sold worldwide, with the #2 imported beer in Sweden. And this is now a regular beer. It's not just an Iron Maiden kind of gimmick. It was never intended. But think about this. For all the guys that, when the downloading on the internet came out, all the guys that went, the fans, they're all criminals, they're all evil, they must be punished for downloading and really liking our music. Well, we just figured, what do people do when they listen to music? Answer, they drink beer. How many times can you listen to a CD? Lots of times. How many pints of beer can you drink? A lot more time than you can listen to the CD. And not only that, you have to buy this every time, and you can't download it. What a great business to be in. So anyway, on that note, I hope that's given you a bit of an insight into the way my very strange and twisted mind works, and the way that maybe all of our strange and twisted minds work. So anybody got we've got time for about 10 minutes for a few questions. Thank you. We need a roving mic. Here comes the roving microphone.
Estou terminando a palestra aqui.
Ok.
Tá terminando a palestra aqui, tô gravando.
Pessoal, a gente vai tentar bater o pessoal aqui com o microfone, tá certo? Vou começar aqui, já aqui, sentar aqui do lado, já passo pra ela aqui primeiro. Mas em português ou em inglês?
Não, consegui pegar quase tudo aqui.
Só
de boa, eu subi em cima da plateia.
Oh, ok.
Tô vendo aqui.
Vai, fala devagar no microfone, por favor.
Aí eu chamo vocês. Daqui
Quando
falta 10
você
minutos
tem
para acabar só.
novo empreendimento e ele é bem sucedido, você continua com ele ou você vende para realizar uma nova ideia que você acha mais importante?
Oh, that's a very good question. Yeah. What do you do? Do you, as venture capitalists would say, do you have an exit strategy, or do you stick with it and try and make it, a business for life? And actually, it depends what that business is, really, because if I go back to my analogy with the fish, if your business is growing a big fish, it can only grow so big, and something is going to want to eat it. Depends what kind of fish it is, if you're trying to grow some big corporate thing, then it's got to eat other businesses, and it'll become so immensely valuable. Personally, I'm not interested in doing those. I prefer smaller, medium-sized businesses which you can grow, and they're fun to do, and you relate to people a bit with it. And then, maybe you think about moving it on in three to 5 years. Some of them you might want to keep. Some of them you might move the business on and still stay with the business, because it is kind of stressful, and there's kind of fun stress, but actually the bit that really interests me is the startup phase and the growth phase. I start to glaze over a bit when the guys come in and they've just got a whole list of statistics and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, you know what? This is maybe time to turn this over to somebody, take your money out, take a back seat, and do something else. Because to me, it's about creativity and having fun. I have about a 3-year attention span.
Pessoal, nós vamos pegar uma pergunta de cada área aqui, porque a gente tem pouco tempo, tá? Ele vai fazer a próxima aqui, ó. Inglês e português.
Oh, hang on.
Português.
Yes. Yeah. Manchester United 0, Chelsea 5. Oh, sorry. Football scores.
Você tem mais alguma... O senhor tem mais alguma ideia genial para ganhar dinheiro em cima da marca Iron Maiden ou da marca Bruce Dickinson, além da Trooper que já surgiu, já que as vendas de disco não estão mais tão aumentadas como o senhor mesmo disse? Tem mais alguma ideia genial além dessas?
Well, actually, we don't really need any more genius ideas to come up with there, because we're really happy with the beer. It tastes great, and with touring is fantastic. So we're really content with touring. And you know, the beer thing came out of the blue. Incidentally, the red wine, we gave the red wine to Motorhead. So Motorhead have their own red wine, and we have the beer. So, but the beer is just, you know, I don't have any guilt about developing the beer, because we developed it not just for Iron Maiden, we developed it for everybody as a genuine standalone product, and it's great beer. So, you know, I'm fine with that. I think if you don't have to look for ways to make loads of money. We're making plenty of money touring. We're doing fine. So, you know, you don't want to. It's not about being greedy. It's just about doing things that are fun. You know, so if we found something that was fun, I mean, if somebody said, you know, we'd like to design an Iron Maiden aeroplane, I'd be like, yeah, you know, but not. I don't care if we make no money out of it, but that would be so cool, you know.
Ok, pessoal, mais a última pergunta aqui, já está com o microfone ali, ó.
Yeah.
Português ou inglês?
Oh my God. I don't understand. So.
Mais perto do microfone, mais perto do microfone, você bem alto.
Bruce, I really know you about your car here, and a lot of job, music, books, and I ask you, when you get where you get the inspiration to do a lot of stuffs, and maybe sometime, maybe different times, but I really have this curious thing to me, when you find your inspiration. And maybe a second question, I hate with me a masterpiece, and I will be very happy if you sing it. You know,
Palestra on its side.
It's the best record in the world.
Yeah. Where do I get my inspiration? Well, the answer is I don't know. I've always been odd in that I've just always wanted to have lots of ideas. I guess when I was a kid at school, I never paid any attention to what was being taught because I was always busy daydreaming and thinking about other things. And I've pretty much continued that for the rest of my life. Now there is a certain amount of effort and process and hard work you have to do. That just goes with it. If you're gonna be creative, you do actually need to have a lot of energy, and you need to be able to work hard, and you need to do without a lot of sleep sometimes. That's just the way it is. And sometimes you also have to be prepared to fail, because you will fail. A guy was chatting to me, he said, if in business, if you have 10 ideas and 50% of them are not working, you're not doing it right. Because you must be constantly coming up with new ideas, and they won't all work. But you have to give them the chance to live. Because you never know when one is going to happen and when one isn't. We get inquiries at our aviation companies. I would say out of every 20 meetings that we have, one of them might result in something sensible. Now, as you become more established, then the people that come to talk to you become more credible. So maybe that reduces to 1 in 10 people come to you with an idea that's workable or that you can do business with. But you cannot discount any of them. Sit down, talk, see where it fits in the framework of things. See where it could help. Or even think about other people. If I give you an example, we work with a German company and they have a fleet of aircraft and they do their own maintenance, right? And there's a maintenance that costs around about $500,000 each aircraft, right? So they do their own maintenance. They have their own big hangar right on their base, in Germany. And we got talking to them we went to dinner with them. And we said, how's the business? They went, great. The hangar is always full. In fact, we were thinking of maybe you could do a bit of work because we can't fit it in the hangar. And we went, oh, okay. And do you get other people offering you work? Oh, yeah. Well, we want to do other people's work because our own work is too expensive. Because our hangar costs us so much money that we need expensive work in there and our work is too cheap. I went, it's really cheap. Why don't you take your cheap work and put it in our hangar and then you can do the expensive work? So suddenly we're signing a contract for 22 airplanes from Germany to be maintained in England because they want to take more expensive airplanes. Why? Because their infrastructure cost is huge and ours is really cheap. So now we've got a relationship, and a little bit of this way, a little bit of that way. But now there's two companies marketing maintenance work because they get people contact them, and if they can't do it, they give it to us. If we can't do it, we give it to them. That's how business works. You never do a deal where you absolutely kill somebody. Some people do. You read about them in the papers, but I never do. And the guys I work with never have that attitude. You can't do a deal that just crucifies somebody and destroys them. There's no point. The world is too small. A good deal is a good deal for everybody. That's my attitude.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much, guys.
Pessoal, muito obrigado. Uma salva de palmas. Thank you. Thank you.